All right, it's raining dividend in Transcorp Group as for the first time in the company's history. Transcorp Hotel PLC, Transcorp Power PLC, they have paid their shareholders interim dividend totaling 16.33 billion naira. Transcorp Group paid 4.065 billion naira interim dividend, while Transcorp Hotel paid 1.024 billion naira, and then Transcorp Power paid 11.25 billion interim dividend. Transcorp has also released their earning results and has seen operating expenses surge by 50% to 21.2 billion naira in the first half of 2024. The group also recorded revenue growth of 114% so in the first half of 2023. So we have business analyst Frank Fagbo, who's going to help us break down some of these figures and insights. So I mean, let's begin with your thoughts on the move from Transcorp Group and paying dividend.
So basically, I feel that Transcorp has been doing amazingly well in the last 1 year, and I want to give kudos to the visionary, which is Tony Elumelu. And if you look at that, you see that the business of the future is actually personal brand. And that is having a ripple effect on Transcorp in general. If you look at his personal brand, he's a force to reckon with. He's a massive, massive personality. Right. And with that, you see that has, in one way or the other, had a ripple effect on the performance of Transcorp. I always say that business of now has to do people by people. People do not necessarily buy from structures, they buy people. So who they see, who they love, who they see often, and that is having a ripple effect on the way Transcorp is performing. And Tony is the man of the moment. This is amazing.
Business analyst speaking indeed. So you're saying the perception alone,
the perception.
And his brand is driving the performance of...
Absolutely, absolutely.
Right, but we've also seen ballooning expenses, right, in the group. And, could you see that affecting their bottom line going forward if they don't hedge? And how do you think they can hedge and work with that ballooning operating expenses?
Okay, so it's all and sundry. It's catching across all industry. Your OPEX will definitely skyrocket because look at all macroeconomic index. None is to the favor of businesses. Are we talking about our foreign reserve? Are we talking about inflation? Are we talking about what is happening in the global space? Look at the global crash that happened 2 weeks back. So everyone is definitely affected. The purchasing power of people is depleting by the day, and that in itself is making businesses spend more in getting that extra one client. I don't know if you get my point.
Right.
And so if you look at all these, from the macroeconomic index, it tells you that inflation, you're bringing back your stocks, you're bringing it back inside your inventory, all these things that you need to run a particular business. All these things will definitely be factored in because inflation in Nigeria is crazy, not just double digits.
Right.
But look at what food inflation is doing, 40%, headline inflation around the 33% mark. And this is the first time in 1 year that we're seeing inflation come down on month-on-month basis. So if you look at all these issues, it will tell you that a lot of businesses would have to spend more in OPEX. And right now it's difficult to even get in an extra client because you have to spend more to get the extra client. Why is that happening? We're seeing what is happening regarding the attention span of people decreasing by the day. The competition is becoming a bloodbath competition across all industry. Everyone coming in to get a share of the pie. And so that in itself is one of the major reasons why we're seeing OPEX increasing. But on the other hand, if you put that in perspective, hold that in one hand and put the other in perspective, you'll see that their revenue is increasing.
Right.
Yeah, so your OPEX is increasing by 50%, revenue by 114%, and so.
But if you're not careful,
they're doing amazing numbers.
If you're not careful, it could eat into it.
Yeah.
Let's focus on the latest subsidiary of Transcorp Group, Transcorp Power PLC, recently listed on the NGX. I think that was in March.
Yeah.
What's your assessment of its performance so far?
Power is a big deal in Africa, across the length and breadth of Africa, because why? Demand or supply. There's a huge demand for power. And where there's a huge demand for power, if you come in with investment, definitely you definitely have you eat a part of the pie. And so with power, look at it, we are really deficient in power. And you're coming in with such massive investment as Transcorp Power, definitely you'll have a share of the pie. And that's why you're seeing the numbers skyrocketing.
Right.
11 billion just for dividend. That's massive.
Yes,
that's massive. Earlier on, you talked about what is happening with the bank stocks. Tell me one bank that's giving 11 billion as
dividend is
oh my goodness. So you
part
see
of the conversation.
Where the world is tilting towards, and especially in this our business landscape in Africa. If investors can come into power and fix power, definitely they will make a truckload of money, and we're seeing that being played. We're seeing that playing out in the NGX.
Right, and still stay with the NGX. We've seen that Transcorp Power has gained over 40%, year till date, right? Do you see it going? I mean, what's your projection for the stock on the NGX, going forward? And do you see it perhaps rallying further to meet up with its peer in the market, Geregu?
Yeah, I think so, because if we narrow it down to what is happening in the macro sense of it, you see that what is happening with the Ministry of Power, you see them trying to make sure that they increase the tariff, the rates. And that would have a positive impact in all players in that sector. You get? Because the cost of power right now has increased.
Right.
And definitely these guys are going to take a part of that increment. And so we're seeing that all these factors playing out in the power sector is one of the major reasons why we're seeing Transcorp really doing amazing numbers. But Geregu, I think I don't know who's going to do better. Unless let time tell. I think time will tell.
Thank you very much for that, Frank, a business analyst, definitely giving us that perspective. Of course, Transcorp Power is about 372 naira, right, for kobo. Geregu is all the way at 1,000. So we'll see whether or not they meet up. It's been an interesting conversation, right? So I would have loved to get to the African markets. I believe it's a mixed performance. But that's our show for today. And as always, we'll be monitoring the pulse of the markets, 4 p.m. West African time. Every weekday, it's Market Pulse here on News Central in partnership with Nairametrics.